Hello, everyone. This is Michaela from Joy Inc., and you're listening to the End All the Things podcast. As a life coach and facilitator, I work with individuals and groups to empower their best selves to shine to the betterment of all involved. My goal is always to bring you closer to trusting the voice inside of you that is authentically yours. My job here is no different. In my journey through life, I continue to meet people who use their authenticity, their gifts, to grow, change, and serve through professional and personal endeavors. These people and their stories become my gift to you, for I cannot keep a good thing to myself, and I believe that they may inspire a part of your story to evolve. Today I'm excited to share a special bonus with you. It is the live Joy of Tarot. Join me for a joyful discussion with the incredible Lisa Tancredi of the Feel Better Group. These conversations are filled with insights, honesty, mentorship, friendship, the joy of tarot, and of course, all the things. So join me and Lisa as we share this journey to grow, change, and serve. Don't forget to follow us at My Joy Coach and at the Feel Better Group, and check out the rest of our episodes and bonuses on And All the Things found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please enjoy the show. If you could ask the universe one question today, if you could dig into something that was really significant to you, maybe something that's holding you back, what might you ask? What question? The Feel Better Group is unable to join. Let's try one more time, because in my world, it's all things on time. Let's try it one more time. So as we're waiting on her again, what would you ask the universe if you could? Because in just a moment, we are going to have, there she is.
How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Good, thanks. How are you?
Fabulous. I can't believe you're down at the expo again. That's where we met, and it's so nice that I wasn't able to go this time, but that's lovely.
I know, I missed you here today. I keep pointing. I'm like, Lisa Tancredi, and I'm pointing to the spot you were in the room, and you're not there, right? But it just happened. I wasn't planning on being here, and I ended up being here, and so I feel like we've kind of come full circle.
Absolutely.
So in honor, for those of you who are just catching up, I am at Fiserv here in New Jersey, where they are hosting a Clover and our women's empowerment organization, a big collaboration for the marketplace. They're doing a wellness and women and all the great things that BIG represents. So we've got a whole room full of badass women in there, speaking their truth and bringing their gifts to the world. So I'm pretty stoked, and I think it's wonderful that we're here today to do this. So I think we should just jump right in and pull a card today.
Okay.
I feel so connected to when I was here the first time with you, and the card I pulled, being on top of that mountain and holding my little light. Yep. So I'm curious to see what the energy in this space might bring us.
All right. So
we've got 2 or 3 people in here.
Oh, nice.
Does anybody want to pull the card?
Oh. All right.
Does that work for you, Lisa? You tell me.
No. Go ahead. We can take they can give us a number and we'll do a number. I just pulled one out when you said so, but I'll put that to the side and we'll do that later.
Do that one next. Okay. So if you're on and you're joining our conversation today, if you want to throw a number between 1 and 21.
At this point, make it 1 and 21 because I took one card out already.
Okay. So 1 and 21. So if you're watching, if you're joining us, throw a number in the chat and we'll pull that card.
Exactly. And that's where we'll start today.
While we're waiting, how are you on this day?
Oh, good. I'm doing awesome. I'm almost a little overwhelmed with how awesome everything's going. Like every once in a while, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep remembering to come back to like ground level. Exactly. Come back and breathe.
What did you say 2 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago? You said there are only 2 speeds: pause and stop.
Slow and stop. Yeah.
Slow and stop. Slow and stop.
If you're doing that, exactly. And I feel myself going into that, I'm going a little too fast. Whew, so thank you for reminding me. Because sometimes, we forget ourselves.
We do. And that's why we have people in our lives that help us stay centered.
Exactly.
So Susan Bernachek, who is a rock star friends, she pulled number 19, or she asked for number 19.
Okay, 21, 20, and 19. Okay, here we are.
Drum roll.
This is a good one today.
Okay.
So,
that's colorful.
That's the Emperor. right? He is the cosmic orderer, right? He is the thing that says, where does this go? Over here. This goes over there. This goes over there.
And I like that guy.
He's a great guy.
I like organization.
Exactly. And he's the one who says, don't try to build on chaos, right? Don't try to build on emotional chaos. Don't try to build on the chaos of an event. Come back, bring yourself back into a calm and balanced place, which is exactly what we were talking about before, is that it's easy to get. I was going to say, it's like it all just happened right up. Exactly. It's easy to get off balance. But it's part of the reason that we're here is to support each other to coming back into balance, right? We're here to lift ourselves up. We're here to lift each other up. We're here to remind each other, hey, I see you're going off into that spin. Come back, because you know what you want is an inner balanced state, no matter what else is happening. And in fact, I remember back in December when I was at that expo, and it was filled with people, and people would come up to my table.
Your table, your spot on the map.
My spot, exactly. I counted at the end, and I did more than 60 readings that day. I could hardly speak by the end of the day.
Wow.
But what would happen would be people would come, and there's total chaos going on, right? It was loud. There were drums going on, and people washing their hands in a sink, and cupcakes, and a roulette board, and art, and jewel, and just everything.
Lots of beautiful chaos, but lots of conditions, beautiful. Lots of influence with the potential to get in the way of people being in the center. And there you were in the center of the room.
Exactly. And what I would do every time somebody came, I'm like, okay, Lisa, the chaos is fun, and it's very addictive, and it's a lot of great energy, but now it's time for you to come back. Just like I was saying before, it's like, today I'm just almost going into that thing. And it's like, no, it's time for you to come back, because there's some reason for you to be more grounded. And this is saying, so the Emperor is right next to it. Let me see if I can find her. Right next to the Empress, right? So the Empress is all about how you are Mother Nature, and you are creating all of the time, right? So the Emperor takes a look. Let me see if I can get them in the right order there. Yeah. So the Empress is constantly creating, right? But the problem or the challenge you have, because every single opportunity is a challenge. Every single challenge is an opportunity. The challenge you have with the Empress is that you might create so much that you choke yourself off with the weeds. For example, do you schedule too many things? Yes, I'm going to say yes to that. Do you want to do so many things that you end up not having enough time to rest? You really need that time to rest. You need to so this is the guy.
So they go together. They work hand in hand. Exactly. There's creation and this making and abundance. And then there's also got to be the part of us that says, okay, but this needs to go here for today. Yeah. This needs to go over here for today. Because we're not good at doing one thing at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. This is go and create. This is, let me help you not get choked over by weeds, right?
Is that the right and left brain? Is that something? Because
totally
I see you holding it there. Because there has to be balance in the two, right? We can't always be sorting and putting and placing and being responsible, if you will. Sometimes we just have to allow ourselves, our ideas, our schedules to get flourished. But then we have to come back and say, but which of these plants is more important, right? The weeds are important, but we don't have to have all of them right now. I don't have to manage all of them. And who can I call for help to help me manage my weeds, my flowers, my trees, my stuff, to put them in their place? Because we don't have to do this alone, right? To your point, when you feel that overwhelm and that hamster wheel spinning, right? You don't know you're spinning sometimes, right? Sometimes we're just in it.
Yeah.
So we need those people to stop and say, Lisa, how are you today? How's that hamster wheel, right? Do you need a break from that?
A little bit like on a hamster wheel. Yeah.
You don't, but I understand that, right? And it's so important. I asked somebody a question yesterday, and they just stopped in their tracks, and it was just, so how are you doing with this thing in your life? And they were like, oh, God, I don't really want to think about it. I'm just going with it. Yeah. And I said, well, then isn't it a good thing that I asked? Just pause for that 1 second and just say, I'm not ready to deal with this, but intentionally pack it away, right? Don't just keep going through the motions and carrying all that baggage. When, as the Emperor says, there's a little spot for that. Yeah. We can put that somewhere. Create as much as you want. We have to put it somewhere.
Go ahead. I actually have a client who likes the strategy of scheduling time to think about the thing that he doesn't want to think about, right? It's like, I'm not ready to think about this right now. It's too overwhelming, and it takes me out of my day, and it takes me out of my beautiful place where I am, and your idea of order. But in 2 weeks on Thursday at 3:00, I have time, and I'm going to put in there, spend some time thinking about this thing that I don't want to think about, so that I start off preparing myself mentally, right, and emotionally to be calm, to be in a place of balance and order, to start off, to build off of a concrete, firm foundation instead of a chaos. You can't create on chaos, right?
No, and it's very easy to kind of get caught up in the, well, I'm gonna have to deal with this thing in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna sit in my rocking chair and worry about it until then, right? But we have to be able to say, I can handle that in 2 weeks, and I will handle that. What I can't handle is the angst and the worry every minute of my day for the next 2 weeks, right? And that's where, like, having someone like I'm imagining that in 2 weeks you're going to check in and be like, so how'd that conversation with yourself go? Right? And that's the key, because I can tell myself that I'm going to exercise or do the thing that I don't want to do. I do like to exercise, but it's easy to put off, right? But if I don't hold myself to that, or someone else doesn't hold me to that, it gets harder to do when there's all the things and the weeds coming and growing at us, right?
So we have to very intentionally figure out which plant we're going to foster, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, so how do you figure out what's most important, or help the people you work with figure out what's a weed and a flower? And not that weeds are bad. Weeds have their place in the world, right? Dandelion, for example, is an incredibly powerful weed. We call it a weed. But
we call it a weed. Very useful.
Not. So maybe flower and weed aren't the right ones, but how do you help people, make the right decision between flower, weed, dandelion when culture, society, life puts those terms on us, right? How do we decipher the weed from the dandelion? I don't know.
The thing I tell people to do is to stop listening to anything outside of them. Stop listening to any external, whatever, guru, like anybody, right? Come back to yourself. Come back to a place of calm and beauty and balance and harmony within, right? Get the order within you first. Then, when you are no longer off balance, you ask yourself the question, what's the right thing for me to do here? What's the right thing for me to do next? And it can be a question that you're asking about, do I eat broccoli, or do I have a donut right now? Because it's not always going to be broccoli, and it's not always going to be a donut, right?
And they're both really important.
They're both
in their own way.
I need them both.
Right.
And so what that does is, when you ask yourself that question, you can't not answer that question. And it's not a thinking, right? It's a feeling. You are looking for a feeling of what feels right to me, like full body right to me. And if you don't have that full body, it's going to be just that feeling within your heart that says, this is the right way. It might not make sense. It might not be logical, but that's the thing to follow. That is your higher guidance coming in through you, saying, this is the way to go. We don't often, because we go step outside of our front door, and we say, oh, I have to take a left because that's what the map says to take a left to get somewhere, right? We don't often do this because we think that we have to follow a certain protocol or a ritual or something that a list of steps that somebody else put together.
We have to pull the weed because it's a weed, right? Someone told me it's a weed, but I'm not thinking, I'm not discerning. Is this a good thing, a bad thing? Like, what does it serve? Right? We pull everything that is labeled a weed without discernment, right? And we leave everything that's a flower without discernment. Exactly. And I'm really loving this imagery, obviously, but it's, what do you water and what do you want out of it? What are you going into it for? So yeah, I agree with you. And I would, I love words. I would dive into, how do you define a weed? What does a weed make, right? And how do we start identifying not, woman as woman, but woman as individual, person as individual with their own unique divine voice, and stop pulling all the weeds and start individualizing and saying, what is this? And does this serve me? And is this a part of my life? Could it be? We are so told what to do, but yet no one actually tells us what to do in the moment, right? That's on us. Well, pull the weed. Well, you might be pulling something that's really important.
Yep.
And you might be watering the things that are toxic. I had the conversation the other day about, you know, like, we ask the universe, we ask God, we ask for the divine to help us with a thing, right? I no longer want this plant in my garden, but you're still pouring water on it, right? And it's like, we invite the things into our space and then ask the world, universe, divine to take them away, right? So I like this because it's, yes, create, flourish, and then say, did I intend to create that?
Yes.
Does that creation serve me? Is there something better I should tend to, right? Like, we don't take that moment to go back and say, well, I'm going to do the right thing in this moment. And then to kind of reflect and say, well, how did that go? Did that work the way I thought it was? Was that an immediate gratification, or is it working towards something in the future? You know, who knows? But to take that self-reflection and to look back and say, was I just growing and then organizing and sorting, and now I'm a hoarder of things and I don't know what I like, you know? So I really love, thank you, Susan, for pulling this, because I love the imagery and the importance of the creator and the organizer.
Yes. He is. And the other thing he's saying, and there are lots of things for each card, and we can't, you know, we can go into only what we can go into in our time. But the other thing he's saying is, and listen to the whole thing, be reasonable. And this is what I mean. Have a reason for what you're doing. Not be reasonable in terms of be logical, but have a reason for everything that you're doing. So it's a little bit of a play on words. He's saying, don't just do it for no reason. Have a real reason while you're saying the words you're saying, while you're showing up at the thing you're showing up at, whatever it is. That's the thing that's going to help the weeds that are truly weeds, truly getting in your way, right? To just sort of die right there. And you'll start to see what might have looked like a weed, but is actually golden flower, and what is the thing that is not really useful to you at all, right? And what is very useful.
I like that. I like that play on words.
Yes, right? Be reasonable. Have a reason
and intention
for what you're doing, right? It's like, and
that takes you off the hamster wheel, right? If you're intentionally on the hamster wheel and you want to be there, then by golly, you stay and you run and you burn those calories. Just make sure you have good shoes on. Right. But if like, be conscious. And if you want to be laying in bed watching Netflix for 8 hours, great. But be intentional about it. Know you're doing it, and know that 8 hours in front of Netflix or that 8 hours on the hamster wheel is part of the big picture, and that you can appreciate this thing. Right. We spend so much time we've become automatons, and we get,
I missed that last part. You said we spend so much time, and then that's all I heard.
Okay. Am I moving again? Am I live?
Yep. You're back.
Okay.
Again.
But we just spend so much time doing, right? And in automatic mode and just going. And we think that there's something magical in that. We think that that's the highest being, the highest form of ourselves. When it's our creativity, our ability to make things, to organize and to put away, comes when we're not in that automaton phase. It's when we stop and think. It's when we pause. It's when we say, what do I really want? What do I actually really want out of my life? That, to me, takes us off the hamster wheel and lets you run free, right? Go see the world with all those running, all those steps you're going to take. Okay, so you pulled a second card, or a first card, right?
I did pull a card first, and the first card that I pulled was this one, which is the Hangman.
Ooh.
Right?
Tell me about that one.
So what the Hangman is reminding you of is a few different things. First of all, things are going to flip upside down. It's going to go great, and then it's going to flip, and it's going to go down the crapper. Then it's going to go great, and then it's going to fall apart.
So wait, you mean to tell me that life is happiness and suffering?
It's going
over
to go
and over again?
You're going to have a challenge, and then you're going to have things all work out. Then you're going to huge challenge, and then things are going to all work out. It's going to, and what do you do in each case? What is he doing? He is just calm and balanced and chilling. He is saying, you know what? All I have to do, I don't have to do anything. I just have to wait, and just wait, because it's going to turn itself around. It might take a day, it might take a year, it might take 10 years, but it's going to turn itself around as long as I don't add my negativity to it, right?
Right, because like the pushing and the climbing and the trying to pull and exerting that energy that you need when things get flipped the right way.
or the
Exactly.
better way.
Well,
The
don't
least
use the
resistant
word
way.
Betty,
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't even know how to say that, but the up way.
Yeah.
The other way.
Exactly. Because if you don't have your challenges,
Yeah.
there's nowhere you're going. That's what you use to be able to bring yourself, your whole vibration up to a higher level, right? So we don't want to look at them as saying, oh my God, I don't want any more challenges. Because quite honestly, you'd have the most boring, dull life. You would end up having, like, your feelings would just go to a, right? There'd be nothing. There'd be nothing for you to work with, right? Whereas now, the way that you get, the energy that you get when you have a challenge in front of you, right? It vivifies you. It says, oh my God, I have something I've got to wake up to and take care of. I can't just sit and watch my Ted Lasso episodes anymore, right? I got to, or whatever it is. I got to get up.
I got to do something. I got to do something.
Exactly. I got to participate a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, because my first was like, whoa, that looks intense. And then as I looked closer, you know, like arms chilling, leg crossed, you know, his countenance is super chill. He's got the glow, the orb still there. And I like that, because even when things are upside down, that divine light is still ours. It's still always, love his patience, and just like, at
least for me. Okay.
Come on, 5 serve. There we go. But I really think that's important. And even in my training, I know that things aren't good or bad, but my brain's language still, right, shoots out. And then I go, oh, wait, that's not what I mean. But that's the chaos and the noise of the world we live in today. Things are good or things are bad. Yeah. Right. And I don't want to be in the bad side, is what culture says. Right. And what I love so much about, number one, these conversations and helping me to reframe out of good and bad just as part of the process in my verbal language. But it's just so nice to be reminded that life is happiness and life is suffering. But if we stay, you know, this is where I find my joy, right? Is in that place between happiness and suffering. It's knowing that, oh my gosh, this thing hit the fan. I don't have to. I had a situation with my son, you know, he didn't do anything, but it turned into this whole school situation, and it was unpleasant. Okay. And the mama bear in me wanted to, you know, grab my torch and go do my
go down and burn
thing.
It down. Exactly.
I guess, right?
I get it.
I'm hesitant to say that, because in case anyone hears it, I don't, you know, but that's how I felt. Right. And I wanted to honor that feeling. So what I did was I spent 2 or 3 weeks on fire inside, just in me. Right. Meanwhile, like thinking and plotting. But what I did was I really evaluated, why am I here? What can I get out of it? How can I use this encounter to heal? How can I use this to help? I can't go back and protect my son, right? If in that situation,
it's done.
But what I did was I pulled my thoughts, all my things together in that feeling of upside down. I let my voice, my truth come through, and I was able to turn it into a situation with the school where I said, I'm going to give you a gift. And it's going to be my feedback, my story, without contempt, without anger. I let my fire burn down, and I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to give you some suggestions, and then I'm going to follow up with you in a month, and then in another month, and then in another month, to just make sure you heard me, right? And not to be boastful or anything, but the line they're walking has repercussions. And I am committed to my child and all these other children to do what I can to shape a world where they can learn, right? Not a world full without the upside downs. But I wanted them to see this process. Life is going to be hard, kid, but this is how you move through it with grace. And I mean, I'm very proud of how I handled it, but I'm also pleased with what I can anticipate as the outcome. And if I had gone in there with my torch and fought to turn that upside down version of me around, my energy, my reputation, all of those things, right, would have been compromised.
God, totally burned
with my own torch. Yes, burned with my own torch. And I think that's just it, right? Like
that's
sometimes
the story of
sit in that space.
I've got to allow room for the universe, for the natural world, for the energy to have its own role, right? And one of the things that you see here is that he's hanging, right? He's hanging. So this is a tav. This is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, right?
Okay.
It has to do with completion. It has to do with waiting for things to be finished, like waiting for things to be right before you try to pick them, right? And what
I
he's doing
love
is he's
that.
hanging off of the beauty of the universe, the beauty of the completion of the world, the beauty of everything being here as a part and a way to support you, so that this situation came to you so that you could see where it was you still had triggers that could throw you into wanting to burn something down, because it comes to you so you can say to you can say, I don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to be there. Here, this thing comes to me where I want to burn something down. I'm like, no, I don't want to be there anymore. How do I master myself? Which is what I did in this situation. That's exactly.
I love that, because it was I could tell the difference between what would feel good and what would feel right.
Yes.
Right? It would have felt good.
That's it.
To vindicate and to push and to fire, but it felt right to think and to create something in service, right? And in the intention of healing and remedying and repairing for the future. So beautiful. Awesome.
That's awesome.
I know that, like, when we pull these, we're pulling for our visitors and our audience, but I always feel like it's just for me. And I hope that everyone else gets to have that same experience, because while this is a unique thing where one individual is pulling a card and then the two of us are talking about it, this is conversations about life. This is just, like, free tidbits for everyone on insights on how to use perspective and how to be patient and how to ask for help when they need to. Because again, you folks are listening to two coaches, two women who have studied and practiced and worked really hard in this, who also feel overwhelmed, get a little spacey, lose it a little bit, and just want to be seen and heard and connected with on a real level. So we're asking for help from each other and from our own coaches and mentors. And we are asking you, what help do you need today? What do you need to have more joy or to feel better? Because Michaela, your joy coach, and Lisa, the Feel Better group, are here to help. And we are going to be here planning on every 2 weeks time. So feel free to check. Come on, internet. Okay. So with that said, that was our third freeze. We're going to wrap it up so we don't get a fourth. Oh no, I just jinxed us. With that, I'm going to just sign off since we're having technical issues. But folks, please follow along at my Joy Coach and at the Feel Better group, and give us some comments, shoot us some feedback, and let us know what you think and what other questions you have about tarot, coaching, whatever.
Hi, Taylor.
Oh, hello, Taylor. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Lisa, you are, as always, a true delight and a wealth of inspiration. I do not leave our conversations without feeling challenged and inspired. And I think that is a beautiful gift to give. So,
and you are such a fabulous, wonderful. Thank you so much for the way that you articulate things. I'm like, oh yeah, you don't know, but I write down your notes. I'm like, I got to write that down, because it's such.
Well, they're recorded, and I've started putting them into the podcast feed. So check out And All the Things with Michaela Birdyshaw. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and I've started putting in the bonus Live Joy of Tarots, because I am just overwhelmed at how content filled we're able to make these and still keep a very conversational, very on the spot, organic feel, because that's, I think, who we are.
I think it is who we are. That's why we met back in December, and exactly where you are, which is
exactly where I am. So
I'm going to just show the 3 cards one more time, just because people came late. So we actually pulled this card, the Emperor, about doing things for a reason, and starting by bringing yourself into balance and order before you try and tackle any other order, and don't try to build on chaos. And then this goes together with the Empress. The Empress is always in a state of creating things. You want to focus on creating, but then you want to come in and clip the weeds. Follow yourself, follow your inner guidance as to what are the weeds. And then this is the Hanged Man, saying that things are going to flip upside down. What you do is you just wait and relax and come to peace within yourself, and depend on the universe, depend on nature, depend on the energy. Allow yourself to gather mastery of yourself so you can hang upside down for as long as it takes for the challenge to right itself. There we go.
And that's a wrap. That was awesome. Well done summarizing that. That was great. I really, really would love for people to comment or to shoot us some messages on how any of these conversations are hitting home for you. We are just doing this, having fun. If there's something more that you want, if you want more history, or I love when you talk about the letters and the numbers and the different parts, let us know. We're here to entertain and to serve and to enlighten you. So how can we serve?
Thank you so much.
So Lisa, yes, go be fabulous. And I will catch you in 2 weeks for another live Joy of Tarot. To catch up, hit the podcast and all the things, and like and follow Lisa and I, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
friends.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on another episode of And All the Things. If you enjoyed today's show, please like and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you really liked it, please go ahead and rate it. Then think about who in your life might also need to hear it and any of the other episodes we have shared. Then share it with them. When you find something meaningful, something valuable, you've got to share it and pay it forward to those you care for. Thanks for joining us, and follow along on Instagram at MyJoyCoach to see more of me, your host, Michaela Birdyshaw. And as always, make it a great day.